Holy shit. He said what?
Mr. President, what will it take for you to be convinced that there's no white genocide in South Africa?
Well, I can answer that for the President.
I'd rather have him answer.
Yeah, I'd rather answer that. It will take President Trump listening to the voices of South Africans, some of whom are his good friends.
But, Mr. President, we have thousands of stories talking about it. Excuse me, turn the lights down and just put this on. It's right behind you.
And welcome to the Ace Capone Show. Wow. It just seems that, looking for content today, it's amazing to me that you look online and every last article, so-called article, it's just propaganda. I would say, looking at it, there's 100% negative news about Donald Trump. It is amazing that Donald Trump has any support in this biased media environment. You have to be a free thinker. And this is why people have turned away from the legacy media, because they're pushing a false agenda. And whenever Donald Trump opens his mouth, it's, oh, he's lying. Well, we've come to the understanding that the media lies constantly. I don't even know why we have a media in this country. We should just fire them all. These companies should just go bankrupt and say, you know what? Let's not do media. Let's just do comedy or Saturday Night Live skits, because no one takes these guys seriously. You have CNN with, who's that weirdo? Abby Phillips. And she cuts everyone off. You never get a word in because she wants her propaganda to be heard. And if you have a rebuttal, she talks over you. Wait, we'll come back to you. It's gotten to the point where, I think people should just turn their televisions off. I don't think anyone should be watching, these lies, which actually hurt people. Because people aren't understanding. You're being turned away from someone who's trying to save this country and also save you from this country. The establishment hates America and it hates American citizens. This is why they give money to illegals. This is why they fund things outside of this country that harm our safety. But this South Africa issue, everyone in the media says Trump lied, Trump exaggerated. Oh, there's no fact in it. Oh my God, he was talking about mass graves. He never said mass graves. He said people were paying tribute to those who lost their lives. They lie so much that they don't even understand how much they're lying. But you know what? When you're dealing with the people who do watch the media, you're dealing with people with low IQs, people who don't have time to think. So the media casually just tells lies because they know no one's going to fact check them. They know people, some of whom that watch their propaganda, these are Trump deranged people. So they don't have to convince people. They already know. The people that we're talking to are those who hate Trump already. Anything we say feeds their frenzy to hear more Trump derangement. So you have to understand, they're dealing with people who really don't care about facts. They're the violent fringe in our country, because liberals are the most violent people in this country. Just as you saw that the other day, two people were killed outside a Jewish establishment, just because this guy hates Jews and he was yelling out "Free Palestine." These guys, they get so amped up by the media that they're pushed to go out and commit heinous acts of violence. And the media doesn't care. They don't report it properly. They say, oh, just 2 people were killed, Next story. And this is what we're dealing with. But I know Trump met with Cyril Ramaphosa in the Oval Office. He showed the video. And afterwards, it was a cleanup act saying, "Oh no, Trump lied." But you know what? Let's show some of the responses from the media. Check this out.
Earlier this week, there were tense scenes in the Oval Office between US President Donald Trump and his guest, South Africa's leader, Cyril Ramaphosa. Well, Mr. Trump says Mr. Ramaphosa's government has been carrying out what he has described as genocide against South Africa's white farmers. Well, our correspondent in South Africa, Pumza Filani, went to the area which Mr. Trump says was proof of this genocide, and she fact-checked it. Let's have a look at what she found.
Kill the white farmer and take their land.
A diplomatic meeting turned ambush. America's Donald Trump makes incendiary comments about what it's like to be a white farmer in South Africa.
These are all people that recently got killed.
His counterpart, President Cyril Ramaphosa, uncomfortable but composed, sits through the so-called evidence of the claims.
These are burial sites right here, over 1,000.
We've come to the location shown in that video played in the Oval Office. There are no graves, there's no graveyard. In fact, we now know that the crosses in that same video were part of a protest organized by a local community after the death of a couple that was killed here.
We're looking at Glenn and Vida Rafferty.
Roland Collier, a farmer, is their nephew and tells me he is still haunted by the gruesome find.
They'd ransacked the house, broken open the safes. It was quite a hectic scene.
Despite the misleading use of the video, he says he's pleased violence on farms is receiving attention. So will he be taking up Mr. Trump's refugee offer?
No, I wouldn't. At this stage, I would definitely not think of going. I still love this country enough to be able to stay.
In a nearby village home to farm workers, residents were shocked by false claims this was the site of a white genocide. Beth Wilmabas.
You know what? This is journalism to them. Distortion and exaggeration. He never said that was a site of white genocide. That was people paying tribute to those who lost their lives. She goes to this farm in the area. She talks to the guy, and he says there was murder here. She ignores that fact. People were paying tribute to those who have lost their lives. Over 1,000 people. So they made crosses. There are no mass graves here. There's no genocide here. This isn't a site of genocide. No one said that was a site of genocide. So you're making a straw man argument. These people can't be trusted. You have to listen to these people because they lie so much. And she wants to be taken as a serious journalist. This is what people are having to contend with. They say, okay, let me find out what's going on in the world. You get nothing but lies. So since she gave that to you, let's talk about people who actually understand what's going on in South Africa, people who are actually from South Africa.
Last week on this show, I spoke about the terrifying plight of South Africa's white farmers. I showed you the packed stadiums of South African political figures chanting, "Kill the Boer" and "Kill the farmer," as others described.
Oh yeah, they totally ignored this video of people from the South African government. These are officials. We're not just talking about some random people on the street. These are officials of the South African government. And these are people who are charged up by these people talking about kill the Boers, kill the farmers, take their land. Oh, but there's no genocide there. Oh, there's no discrimination going on here. But we see you.
How they wanted to kill white men, kill white women. I showed you the long avenue of crosses representing slain South African farmers, the majority of whom are white. And I described how, with only the rarest exceptions, much of the world's media refused to report on this appalling situation. But clearly, someone was paying attention 2 days ago in what is increasingly becoming the greatest show on earth. Donald Trump, obviously a fan of this show, used the Oval Office to not only give a national leader a deserved dressing down, but to put the story of the plight of South African farmers in spectacular fashion, front and centre, to the entire world.
Turn the lights down and just put this on. It's right behind you. Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. South Africa occupy land. That's who we are.
Yes, it was the greatest surprise slideshow in the history of the White House. The lights went down, the screen lit up, and the audience of South African dignitaries squirmed in their seats. What was on display was everything I, but sadly very few others, have been talking about for years. The vile, despicable Julian Malema, a black supremacist who for years has been stoking racial hatreds and no doubt racially motivated killings at mass rallies like this one, chanting, "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer, shoot to kill."
Shoot to kill. Gamaza. Kill the Boer, the farmer. Kill the Boer, the farmer. Brr, pa, pa. Brr, pa, pa.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa squirmed in his seat while he tried to work out what the hell to say, while his delegation clearly wished the ground at their feet would swallow him.
That lady's face said it all. She was like, damn, they got us. It's like, come on out, y'all. They got us. It is sad that that man came to America with some athletes and said, oh, we're going to just trick Donald Trump into believing that there's nothing going on. The Democrats really do a job of sabotaging this country. And you're like, what are you talking about? Well, just like Zelensky. Zelensky met with the Democrats before he met with Trump. And he went into a meeting where he was supposed to sign a minerals deal. And then all of a sudden he goes off talking about other nonsense and he didn't sign the deal. Democrats are going around the world sabotaging American policy. It's time that these people get thrown in jail for treason. You have people in the Ukraine now saying, oh, let's just wait Trump out. And in that case, Trump should say, I'm not going to fund you for 4 years and let you die. If you don't want to play ball with us, and they're doing it in the EU as well. They're saying, oh, well, they're going around because it was reported that John Kerry was going around sabotaging policies that Trump was pushing. He should be in jail. Democrats are criminal and treasonous people to this country. They're saboteurs. They don't want America to thrive. They think there's nothing special about America. There's nothing special about being an American. This is why they let people come over our borders, because there's nothing special about being an American. And also they're socialists, and also in South Africa. These people are dealing with China and Russia. They're socialists. They don't share our values. So why should Trump do anything for these people? If you love socialism so much, take your money from China and Russia and leave us out of it. You come to us for aid, but you're working with the Iranians to attack Israel. And I'm no fan of Israel, but the simple fact of the matter is you're doing the bidding of anyone that pays you, because South Africa is a failed country. The Africans took over and it went to hell. You're trying to take land from farmers and you don't know how to farm. You have incapable people wanting power. And the only thing that incapable people do is fail. You know, in that last clip, you had a stadium full of people cheering on these officials talking about kill the Boers and kill the farmers. Well, these farmers feed all of South Africa. So how's that going to work, man? You going to kill the people that feed you? You hate whites so much. You know what? They moved away. They tried to get their own land to be away from these blacks who hate them, and they followed them over into their area. You can't get away from them. They need to be around you because they hate you so much. It's crazy, the logic. We don't like white people. Okay, fine, leave them alone. No, we got to kill them. We don't like white people, but they feed you. Oh, kill them anyway. This is why Africa fails. This is why you have black communities that fail, because people have no logic. And as they sit and they say, oh, well, that's one guy talking on a show, you know, that's no proof that that Trump was telling the truth. Well, there's always extra. Here's a lady on the street doing interviews with South African people.
The minority in our country, obviously being the white people, are feeding us.
Africa and South Africa, it belongs to the Bantu people. It belongs to the Ngunis. The land must go back to the chiefs. Land must be expropriated without compensation.
I am a farmer. I've been doing that for 5 years commercially, and I operate on leased land for 5 years. So for me, this is the process that it might not fix everything, but it will get me into the playing field.
Yeah.
If there is today a blanket expropriation happening, they will still not give you the land. If the ANC was in any way serious about giving black people land, I have no problem. They should give black people land.
The government doesn't trust black people with land in this country. And that's evidenced by the millions of title deeds that are held in backlogs.
Hey guys, my name is Modi and you are welcome to Modi Speaks. So regarding the situation going on in South Africa, the fact that South African government have decided to forcefully seize farmlands belonging to white South African farmers. They introduced a new law that makes it legal to expropriate these lands without giving no single compensation to the white farmers, whom in most cases purchased these farmland with their hard-earned money, because not all white farmers or white people in South Africa inherited lands from their parents. And by the way, these Afrikaners, the Boers, the white South Africans, were feeding the entire nation and even the sub-Saharan parts of Africa. But currently, out of greed and sheer ignorance and stupidity, the Cyril Ramaphosa-led government of South Africa have enacted laws that would allow him confiscate white South African farmers' lands without giving them a dime as compensation. This had led to an outbreak of vicious attacks on these South African farmers by black South Africans and calls from political party leaders encouraging their millions of followers to kill these white farmers. And
wait a minute, there's no genocide going on in South Africa. Trump is a liar. Oh my God, but a woman in South Africa is telling you that these blacks are going around attacking whites and they're killing them.
Take their lands from them. Now, a good number of these farmers have been massacred, okay? My previous video shows some of the late victims of this silent genocide. I call it a silent genocide because...
Did she say silent genocide? But Trump is a liar, right?
The South African government is pretending like these killings are not happening, like the killing of Boers aren't happening. Mainstream media is also pretending like this death are not real, and a lot of people who are supposed to be speaking out about it are all covering up the story and pretending like nothing is going on. Now, I found myself wishing that I could just fly to South Africa right now so that I could just get the opportunity to interview random strangers, both white and black alike, and ask them 1 or 2 questions regarding this disastrous development. I mean, that seems like the best way to get honest and genuine feedback. And just as I was nurturing this wish, I stumbled upon this street interview that was conducted on these South Africans. It is not exactly what I was looking for though, because some of the participants of this street debate are leaders of political parties. So their opinions were heavily biased, okay? But it is better than nothing, okay? So we are going to listen to their views and hear what they have to say. I might be playing out the entire video before sharing my opinion, or I might be sharing my thoughts along the line as we go along with the video. Let's watch.
South Africa has a new law which basically gives the government the framework on how they can acquire private property from individuals, sometimes with no compensation. Obviously, that's got tongues wagging and hairs crossed. So what does it mean for South Africans, particularly young ones? So I want to start with some farmers. And Guguletu, we are on your farm right now. How did you receive the news, or what do you take of this new law?
There is a lot to discuss when it comes to this law. It is very touching for a lot of the youth. Because one, it opens a lot of opportunities and a lot of doors for a lot of us. But at the same time, there's a lot in terms of agriculture on how it really does affect, because the minority in our country, obviously being the white people, are feeding us on a day-to-day basis.
What do you mean when you say feeding us?
In terms of the number of farmers that there are, the white farmers are a very small group, yet the numbers that they're able to achieve in terms of production of food are feeding South Africa and even the Sub-Sahara.
Okay, so let me speak to Tevi here, because you are the white farmer that is being discussed here, right? So for you, how do you take it? Because the government is trying to sell this as a kind of land reform act, and we'll get to the details shortly. But what's your take?
So the main thing to realize is, I believe that property rights and the guaranteed property rights in a country is part of the constitution. And in every country in this world where property rights has been taken from people, that country has started to become a third world country. Now, South Africa is definitely on its way to that, and I believe this could be the last nail in the coffin. So it's very...
And South Africa will be a third world country because people have no skills on how to run a government. That man said it. The fact that you have people practicing DEI in South Africa is a big example of why they will fail. And, I just don't understand why people are playing this game of, oh, this isn't happening, and if we don't report on it, you will think that it's not happening as well. Don't they didn't learn from the last election. People go to other sources to get the truth. And the media undermines its own credibility by pushing lies. This is why Joe Rogan and other content creators are popular, because no one wants to be told lies. They want to know the facts. Let me be the judge of it. Let me form my own opinion. Don't sit there and tell me someone's a liar, and I find out they're telling the truth and you were the liar. Now I don't want to hear you anymore. And that is the path that this fake legacy media is taking. And I hope they all just fail. And I wish people would just say, you know what, we don't need that anymore. And they go to do something else. Maybe they could do National Geographic or something like that. But that's all I got for right now. Until then, this is your boy, Ace Capone, signing off. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Drop me a line. Until then, peace. I'm gone.